New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
One that really sticks out to me the most, George, and he's having a fantastic season, is James Wood of the Washington Nationals. I mean, yes, Cal Raleigh's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He's like a candidate for MVP of the American League. But every time I look up, George, James Wood is either getting 5 hits or being walked 4 times in a game. What a season for this guy.
And he's so young. What, he 22? So what a future this kid has ahead of him.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Cooper flag against Bronny James feels like Mike DeCourcy against Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. I mean, let's be real about this. We're talking about a generational prospect in Cooper Flag and LeBron's kid who averaged 5.5 points in his 1 year of Division I basketball. I'm not saying LeBron is a poor player, but I don't see him as an equal attraction or an equal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
You don't want a big that's camped out under the basket and clogging the lane. He provides a lot of really good defense, a lot of three-point shooting, and again, younger than Brook Lopez. It is a good match. I just don't think it moves the needle, but as we talked about to open the show, when Giannis Antetokounmpo was saying, we're not just going to sit here this year and say, oh, Dame's down, let's just take a pause here because I'd rather go try to chase a championship. So at least they're being honest and saying, we're going to make this team better.
The Early Line, only on
And welcome in. It is in-game live game day here on the grid on this fabulous Friday evening. Scott Wetzel, Dane Martinez in for Dave Sherapan once again this evening as we take it at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, watching, analyzing, betting the world of sports. Baseball, WNBA, Wimbledon preview as well over the next 2. We got our SGPs, Black Clouds, 5 on the line, whole bunch of prop plays with the pitchers. Full slate of baseball tonight, unlike last night where we had a few, but not the full schedule. In fact, we had a little bonus with the doubleheader with Chicago and the Cleveland Guardians earlier today. So full slate of action. My partner in crime, Mr. Dane Martinez. What's going on, Dane? How are you today, bud?
I'm doing all right, Scott. Like you mentioned, Thursday usually get some day baseball, so we do have a full slate, plenty of games to look at in Major League Baseball, plenty of things to bet on. And Scott, last night, what a comeback from my New York Yankees. And today they're already up 3-0 on the Cubbies in a kind of, blue blood matchup of historic franchises, as the Cubs don't really usually come to Yankee Stadium. So I'm excited to see that one. We got one game going on in the WNBA. So let's find some winners. Let's get this 5 on the line, look at these trends, and get the people off to a good start.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. You got the one WNBA game. We'll start there just to throw it out there. Atlanta at Indiana. Dan, I didn't quite get this line. Didn't quite understand why Indiana was only a 1.5-point home favorite. It got lowered actually to 1. The second game is even stranger. We'll have time to break that down. But I wasn't sure. Indiana coming up one of their worst performances. Caitlin Clark rips them. Challenges everyone to look in the mirror. I thought this was the perfect bounce back spot for Indiana tonight.
All right. Yeah. You always talk about like the players only meeting, right? And I always think that's hysterical, Scott, because listen, when you do the players only meeting, it's a function of the schedule, Scott. You and I both know this. You do this when it is a smart time to do it. And I will tell you, Howard on Atlanta just got injured. It looked like a very apparent knee injury. She was down for a long time, just got carried off the floor here, right? So I don't know if they have adjusted for that. Right now, the Fever are up by 1, 24-23. You can get them at pretty much even money, laying 1.5 points. And with Howard down for the dream, it might be something you want to take a look at.
All right, yeah, I liked Indiana from the get-go. They're up 1, nothing crazy, but with that injury, this girl averages 16 points a game, almost 17 a game. That's a big blow for them if they don't have her back. So yeah, let's first play of the day. How about the WNBA? Got some baseball stuff here, Dane. Getting underway in a little bit. Let me throw some pitcher. Have a little fun here before we get to our 5 on the line. Let me throw out some pitcher props that I looked up on FanDuel. Everyone has different lines, but these are the FanDuel lines. It's really kind of a test of your will on how far you want to go. We'll start with Paul Skeens. Getting set, Pittsburgh to take on Minnesota. His out total is 17.5. Now, he's hit that 13 of his 19 starts, 13-6, but you got to lay 205, minus 205 if you want to go with the over. Does the 13-6 overcompensate for you, or are you willing to lay the 2-1 on betting over with him?
So here's what I'm going to do, Scott. I will take the over because Skeens has been amazing. But when we talk about your SGPs, we talk about that negative correlation. I'll take Skeens to go over on the outs, but I'll take the Twins to win the game. How about that on the money line? And I think they're like minus 120 because Skeens has been amazing, but still I think he's like 4-7 on the season. So I'll take Skeens to go 6 innings, sure.
All right, Minnesota, same game. Joe Ryan. His out total 18.5. Now he's only gone 19 outs or more, which is 6 1/3 innings, folks. Only 4 of his 18 games, 4-14 to the under. But if you want to bet the under, it's minus 220. You want to bet the over, it's plus 160 and change.
Can I pass? Am I allowed to pass in this game? This is a new one for me.
No passing. No passing.
No passing?
It's one or the other. No passing.
Well, if I had to go one way or the other, I would go under. I don't know that he goes more than 6 innings in this one.
It is Pittsburgh. It is,
but I'd still take the under.
All right. Last one of the early games, Texas Jack Leiter. His strikeout total, neither one of these are as crazy as the other two, but his strikeout total is 4.5. He's only hit that 6 of his 15 starts, 6-9 to the under. It's not heavily juiced or anything crazy. So you want to go over or under on Texas Leiter?
I'll take Leiter strikeouts. I'll take the over on that one. Listen, the last couple of games I've been giving out strikeout unders and it has not worked for me. So I'm going to go on the over with my K prop later on tonight, and I will go over with Jack Leiter. I think he gets the 5.
All right, so there you go. We had a few of the early games. I got a bunch more of the late games, including one in which the number the guy has posted for tonight, he's hit 11 of 12 starts, 11-1. So a little tease. But before we get to that, how about a little 5 on the line? I fire best trends, Dane, for this Friday evening and games that have yet to get underway. All right, another tough night last night. Boy, this is, we've never had a week like this. We're only 7-12-1 this week. We had 3-1 last night. We hit only with the Corey Seager base hit. He had a few of those. That was an easy winner. We lost with the over Arizona San Diego 4-3. Lost with Atlanta A's over. That ended up 5-4. We've got a push out of Washington, St. Louis, and then Josh Smith, 50,000 base hits for Texas last night, and he didn't have one of them. So a little rough start this week. Let's see if we can close things out and make some of our money back. 5 best trends. Here we go. We'll start from 5 down to the very best trend. Mets in Kansas City. We'll start there, Dave. Mets 8-17 their last 25 games, including getting swept 2 days ago by Baltimore in a doubleheader. They're in Kansas City. Royals are 6-1 their last 7. They're breaking out of a funk they were in for the longest time. Trends simply say it's got to be Kansas City. You're getting odds as well, plus 114 against the New York Mets. 4 on our list. San Diego. This is a goofy one, but, maybe there's something to it. 1-8 their last 9 games in game 1 of a series. So they're opening up a series tonight. For whatever reason, they're a really good team. I mean, they're 8 games, 9 games over 500. Yet game 1s of series, they're 1-8 their last 9. So let's grab Philadelphia. I like the Phillies anyway today, minus the 162. Number 3, this is simply winners bet with streaks, losers bet against streaks. Dodgers have lost 6 in a row, right? I know what you're saying. They're not going to lose 7 in a row, Scott. It's not going to happen. Yeah, you said that after they lost 2 in a row and 3 in a row and 4 in a row and 5 in a row. You got 4 or 5 losing tickets. Just go with it until they win. Give me San Fran tonight, plus or minus the 130 against the Dodgers. A's Luis Severino. This really could have been, the best one. But Severino tonight pitching for the A's against Toronto. 0-8 against winning teams this season. He's not good against losing teams either, folks, but he's especially bad against winning teams. I get a pitcher like that. Give me Toronto as the trend play, -174. And then finally, that leaves us with only one, the coup de grace, creme de la creme, numero uno trend for tonight. Nationals 7-21 their last 28 games, taking out a Brewers team that is 14-5 their last 19 games. So, where are we going to go, boys? Give us Milwaukee, right at home, -205 against the Washington Nationals. What do you think?
All right, sounds good. The only one I really want to push back on for you, Scott, is those Mets. Kodai Senga is on the hill, and he has been good. He's pitching to a sub-2 ERA, has allowed 2 or fewer runs in his last 4 or 5 starts, and it looks like, though, that game may be in a little bit of a rain delay, so we'll see about that one. But I actually would back Kodai Senga and the Mets. It seems like you're fading him, going with Kansas City on the money line.
All right, there you go. That's why there's 2 sides to a coin, right? In-game live, game day just underway. You're on the grid. More coming up.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Dane, hour number one. Just finished up with our 5 on the line, due for a major rebound tonight. And I will say tonight, unlike the other nights, not that we're making excuses, but at least tonight, for real, I think the first time all week, we've had a full slate of games to choose from. When you only have 3 or 4 games, sometimes the trends aren't as good if you have 6 or 7, 8, 9, 10 games like we basically had tonight to choose from. So it's Kansas City trend-wise against the Mets plus 114. Mets struggling, KC playing good. Philadelphia minus the 162 against San Diego. Padres 1-8 for the last 9 opening run games of series. San Fran minus the 130 against the Dodgers, who have lost 6 straight. Toronto minus the 174 against the A's with Luis Severino on the hill, who's 0-8, by the way, at home, as well as being 0-8 against winning teams. And then the number one trend, Milwaukee minus the 2 and change against Washington. Brewers playing well, Nationals not playing well. The manager's fired thing has not worked out too well. Only 1-2 since he's not provided any kind of spark for him. So, but full slate of baseball to get to here, Dane. I must say, just to kind of pat ourselves on the back before we get into it, what we did tonight. Last night, calling the Yankees down 5-0, right? At 12-1, 11-1, 12-1, whatever you guys got it at. Yep. When we hung up, it was 5-3. And then 2-3 minutes later, whatever it was, I see the 2-run single to tie the game, and I'm like, man, I told you. It's nice to be right every once in a while, right?
Yeah, listen, even a broken clock is right twice a day, you know what I mean, Scotty? But yeah, it was cool. And listen, we gave it out to people in a number of ways, right? I gave out the Yankees team total when it was still only 1.5. They ultimately get to 6. Yep. We told you late in the game, the run line plus a 1.5, they wind up getting all the way home. We gave it to you also that they could come back. And Scott, I think you are absolutely right. The idea of kind of like the letdown, how the air goes out of the balloon as soon as Wu gives up that first hit, right? And so we were kind of on that, and that worked really well. I want to ask you a couple questions. One, I see it a little bit differently with the Mets because I do think Kodai Senga has been good. I love your call on Philadelphia, however. Ranger Suarez has been awesome. He has not given up more than 2 runs in any of his starts over the last 10 or 11, pitching to a sub-2 ERA. I want to ask you about that series opener stat, though. I would love to see the difference with the Padres and in general, if for the game 1 of a series, if they had to travel or not, right? Like they were home against the Arizona Diamondbacks, I think, earlier in the week, and they stay home and Philly comes to town, right? I think it's different if you stay home and just get another opponent coming into your ballpark versus if you had to, say, travel from wherever, and I think that's just a different context. So I would love to see that stat kind of sliced and diced up a little bit more based on if they are remaining home or remaining on the road or coming back home or leaving home, going to the road. That would be a different way I would want to slice it. And the last thing I have for you, just a kind of thought, kind of the art of war of it all. We have a few games in the Midwest right now that are in rain delay, right? In Kansas City, in Minnesota, in Chicago. What do you think? Because I know you're big on this. You say after the no-hitter, it's a letdown spot, right? What about when the start of the game is postponed? Does that make you think anything different on the starting pitcher, on outs or strikeout props, on a game total or a team total? Because when I think about it as a, high school and college athlete, you will have your routine. These guys are creatures of habit. They're creatures of routine. I mean, Wade Boggs used to skip over the third baseline at 7:07 every game before it, right? They're such creatures of habit. And now all of a sudden you think you're going to play a game and you have to sit and wait. Maybe for 35 minutes, maybe for an hour and 35 minutes. Does that change the way you view the game inherently vis-a-vis a pitcher prop or maybe a game total or runs being scored in the game if they're sitting and waiting for a little while?
It does, but it doesn't ultimately, right? If I like, an over and a strikeout prop, we'll just say, or an over and an out prop, or an under for that matter, am I a little worried about it a little bit? Like, yeah, you know what, the guy's sitting around. But these guys probably know well in advance, they know before the public knows that we're going to have a delay, right? I'm sure they were told, an hour ago, listen, pretty good chance we're going to have a delay, so don't warm up. But it does throw the routine out, and that's why I don't like playing afternoon weekend games. And that's why I don't like playing afternoon games, period, to tell you the truth. It just throws the rhythm. These guys are all used to playing at night. They don't play that many afternoon games. So when they get thrown out of their normal schedule, crazy things happen. And it's the same thing with a delay. You know, if you're used to starting the game at 7 o'clock and that's what you're preparing for all day long, and then you realize, okay, it might be 7:30. So it does kind of make me worry a little bit, Dane, long story short, but ultimately I probably still make the bet 9 times out of 10.
All right, fair enough. Well, we do have a delay in Kansas City with that game that is part of your 5 on the line, in Minnesota between the Pirates and the Twins, and then, of course, in the AL Central battle with the Guardians and the White Sox. So we'll keep our eye out on all of those things. We're also at halftime in the WNBA. The Atlanta Dream are up by 5. I have it at 45-40. Atlanta up on Indiana. And the last update I'll give you is that Seattle was up on Tariq Skubal and the Detroit Tigers, but the Tigers are coming back now. They have scored a run in the bottom of the 4th. There are 2 outs, but the Tigers now have the bases loaded. So this is one of those pivotal spots, Scott, because now with the bases loaded, Detroit has gone all the way to minus 310. But if Castillo and the Mariners get out of this and they finish the inning still tied at 1, that number is going to change big time. So I think we have a leverage spot right here in Mariners-Tigers.
Yeah, it's kind of the bet within the bet. You're betting on, you know, if you want to bet Seattle right now, you're betting on them getting out of this thing. Look, we've seen 1,000 times, bases loaded with 1 out, right? It's not a foregone conclusion. So if you do that now, you can get them at a much better number, like you said, because if they don't score, that'll probably drop down. It'll probably won't go that far, but it'll go down to 2-1, basically what the normal line was to start the game, right around 201, 205, 210, something like that. So
exactly.
The other one, pretty good betting opportunity. 2 of them, really. We'll start with probably the best one. I think that's Cincinnati at home, trailing Colorado 2-1. Boy, anytime you can go against Colorado early in the game, bottom of the 4th inning, and you're laying only 104, you know, basically even money. We'll just say pick them, depending on your site with the Reds. I would do that. I don't think Colorado's going to win tonight.
Yeah, I like that. I like that as well. Prototypical spot, right? I mean, Cincy was a minus 240 favorite to win early on. They're at home. They're playing against the god-awful Rockies, and now you can get them at minus 104. I think that's a good spot.
Yeah, now there's one other we'll talk about when we come back. Our beloved Red Sox trailing again tonight. We'll see how they do. In-game live game day. SGP's coming up next as well.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
One that really sticks out to me the most, George, and he's having a fantastic season, is James Wood of the Washington Nationals. I mean, yes, Cal Raleigh's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He's like a candidate for MVP of the American League. But every time I look up, George, James Wood is either getting 5 hits or being walked 4 times in a game. What a season for this guy.
And he's so young. What is he, 22? So what a future this kid has ahead of him.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Cooper flag against Bronny James feels like Mike DeCourcy against Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. I mean, let's be real about this. We're talking about a generational prospect in Cooper Flag and LeBron's kid who averaged 5.5 points in his 1 year at Division I basketball. I'm not saying LeBron is a poor player, but I don't see him as an equal attraction or an equal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
You don't want a big that's camped out under the basket and clogging the lane. He provides a lot of really good defense, a lot of three-point shooting, and again, younger than Brook Lopez. It is a good match. I just don't think it moves the needle, but as we talked about to open the show, when Giannis Antetokounmpo was saying, we're not just going to sit here this year and say, oh, Dame's down, let's just take a pause here because I'd rather go try to chase a championship. So at least they're being honest and saying, we're going to make this team better.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
And welcome back. It is In-Game Live Game Day here on the Grid. Scott and Dane, hour number one, our third segment. You know what time it is. Time for our SGP Same Game Parlay. Yes. Before we decide what we're going to do tonight, I do need to kind of recap, pat ourselves on the back. I know we struggled a little bit with the 5 on the line, but we did give out an SGP winner last night, albeit only plus 430. But if you start your sentence with "I only won," it's got to be a pretty good sentence, right? We hit with Texas, all those Corey Seager props, they all hit pretty easily, as a matter of fact. And then we got Neto a hit for the Angels. So plus 430, cha-ching, cha-ching. Playing with house money here, Dane. So we're going to use the same approach tonight as we did last night, except we're going to use Toronto and the A's. Love Toronto tonight, minus the 166. Thought about later running a half, but I won't get too greedy. I don't think they're losing to Luis Severino. I really don't. I mean, he's been just so bad. We'll break down a little bit later on how bad he's been. But basically, ERA over 7. He's winless at home this year. He's been awful. So Toronto, they're going to get over 5.5 runs. Give me over 5.5 minus 136. Blue Jays. He's given up 5 runs in basically every single home start this year. So I'm assuming he'll do that again tonight, especially since the Jays are 10-1 their last 11. They're playing great. And then we're going to hop on George Springer tonight like we did Corey Seager last night. Let's pick one guy going up against a bad pitcher like last night with Seager and Kohanowitz of the Angels. So Springer, 2 hits. They're giving us only plus 140, but he's had 2 hits or more in 6 of his last 8 games. The guy's hitting over 400 in July. That's why we're going to use him. 2 bases, minus 145 for Springer. An RBI. He's got 13 RBIs this month already in 9 games. And then we'll use Springer a run as well at minus 220. So it's the George Springer show and Toronto. And it only pays plus 384, you see there, Dan. I must say they really, really whack you when you take one guy. They really do. Right. But I'll still take it, Toronto and George Springer tonight.
Listen, I like it. You know, you spoke to what Severino has done, especially at home, and I put home in quotation marks in Sacramento, a 7+ ERA there for Severino. And to be honest, I don't know if you saw this, Scott, he's been chirping about it. He has been actually talking about that ballpark and how he doesn't like pitching there, so much so that I would not be surprised if he is not a trade candidate sometime soon. Remember, he pitched pretty well for the New York Mets, for example, at stretches last year. They are a team who is in the race, could use pitching help. He's a former New York Yankee, another team in the race that could use pitching help. I would not be surprised if Severino goes. The part I am surprised is that you didn't fade Severino somehow explicitly in your parlay. I get the Springer part. I agree with it, just like you did Corey Seager yesterday. I agree with Toronto. I agree with the Blue Jays team total as well. I would think you'd put in something like a under Severino outs, because people have been getting to him, especially in that ballpark in Sacramento.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Believe me, I would have, Dane. But they only really offer strikeouts with same game parlays. Like if you use the same game parlay icon, you know, on FanDuel, they got everything for hitters: base hits, stolen bases, RBIs, all those things that I give you. But for pitchers, the only thing is really the strikeouts, and they do give you alternate strikeouts, but you can't go under. You can only go the under original number. Yeah. Otherwise, all the alt numbers are overs. So, yeah, it's tough. But believe you me, if I could have, I definitely would have. So that's the one thing, little suggestion we like to offer, our buddies over there at FanDuel who watch us all the time. I know they do. If you could somehow throw in some negative, pitcher props in those SGPs. I don't know why they wouldn't. They offer everything else. Maybe it's just like, okay.
For overs, right? You have the ladder for like 7+, 8+, 9+. You could also just as easy put a less than sign, right? And go less than 4, less than 3, less than 2 in the same way. And the other thing I noticed is they don't do many. They do far more strikeout props than they do of the outs props. You're starting to get those outs props out there. In terms of, in essence, will they go 5 1/3? Will they go 6 1/3? That sort of thing. But they don't offer the outs props for pitchers as much as some other books and as much as the strikeout props.
Yeah, not sure why. It's a lot of goofy things. Like sometimes they offer the outs on a pitcher, but then they won't offer the strikeouts, or vice versa. It's like if you're going to offer one, I understand why you wouldn't offer any because he's a new pitcher, whatever, coming off the IL. But if you're going to offer one, why wouldn't you offer the other one? So it's just sometimes they do some strange things for sure. So updated baseball: Yankees are hitting the home runs tonight, 5-0 already. So they were down 5 last night. They're up 5 tonight. In-game live continues here on the Grid.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
One that really sticks out to me the most, George, and he's having a fantastic season, is James Wood of the Washington Nationals. I mean, yes, Cal Raleigh's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He's like a candidate for MVP of the American League. But every time I look up, George, James Wood is either getting 5 hits or being walked 4 times in a game. What a season for this guy.
And he's so young. What is he, 22? So what a future this kid has ahead of him.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Cooper flag against Bronny James feels like Mike DeCourcy against Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. I mean, let's be real about this. We're talking about a generational prospect in Cooper Flag, and LeBron's kid who averaged 5.5 points in his 1 year at Division I basketball. I'm not saying LeBron is a poor player, but I don't see him as an equal attraction or an equal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
You don't want a big that's camped out under the basket and clogging the lane. He provides a lot of really good defense, a lot of three-point shooting, and again, younger than Brook Lopez. It is a good match. I just don't think it moves the needle. But as we talked about to open the show, when Giannis Antetokounmpo was saying, we're not just going to sit here this year and say, oh, Dame's down, let's just take a pause year because I'd rather go try to chase a championship. So at least they're being honest and saying, we're going to make this team better.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the Grid. Halfway through hour number 1, Scott and Dane until 10 p.m. Eastern time on this fabulous Friday evening. Little baseball, little WNBA. We're at halftime here, Dane, of the Indiana and Atlanta Dream game. We got the we're set to start the third quarter. 45-40. Atlanta leading at Indiana. I told you earlier, I thought the line was kind of fishy. I really did. But they're the Atlanta Dream leading by 5 on the road, getting set to start the third quarter.
Well, let me give you an update here, okay? Like you said, Indiana, they were 2-point favorites at home. You mentioned the players-only meeting, the idea of kind of maybe a good bounce-back spot. You can now get the Fever plus 3.5, and I do believe that there's some reasons to think that this could be a better second half for Indiana, okay? First of all, Indiana is 5 of 18 from beyond the arc. All right. I think that is something that could potentially regress to the mean. That's around 29% or so. I think there could be some positive regression there. And also look at the turnover battle here in this one. Indiana, 8 turnovers in the first half. Meanwhile, Atlanta, only 2. I think that's where you get a lot of extra possessions for the Dream. I don't know if you're going to get that in the second half. So I think there's reason to believe that the Fever will have a better second half. They are at home. They were the original favorite, and you can get them plus 3.5. I also told you about Howard on Atlanta. She is out trying to give it a go. Remember, I told you she went down with the knee injury. I saw footage of her trying to warm up before the start of the second half. But Scott, she is in one of those full-on, big-time RoboCop braces, literally from her hip to her ankle. So if they are going to give her a chance, she is certainly compromised. I'll let you know. I got eyes on it to see if she is back in on the second half. But you liked Indiana going into this game. I think plus 3.5 could be a way to go. Like, listen, they're going to shoot better, I would think, and maybe take care of the ball. Give Atlanta not as many possessions. I like the plus 3.5 for the Fever.
All right, I'm going to lay off. Here's my thinking with this stuff. It was a bad line to begin with. So I either generally stay away, but more times than not, I bet it anyway because I'm a dope. But I do kind of stop myself. Like if the line was, I know this is going to sound crazy, but if the line was 4.5 or 5, like in my mind it should have been, I would double down. I would. But it wasn't. So I'm not going to double down on a fishy line because maybe the boys in Vegas just know something we don't know. Maybe there's something going on with this Indiana team. You would have thought a players only meeting, calling everyone out, that would inspire them, but maybe not. So if it gets up to like 6, 7.5, different story. But for now, and FanDuel's got the 3.5 juice to minus. Now it's minus 128. It was minus 144. But I think you're right. If I didn't have the an original dog in the fight, I probably would hop on board. I tell you the other game, Dane, real quickly is Connecticut and Seattle. I'm not sure what I'm missing here, but someone explained this to me, Lucy, as Ricky Ricardo once said. So Seattle's an 18-point home favorite. I get that. In fact, they just came off a loss to Connecticut, so I'm sure they're going to be all fired up. This is their third game between these two teams in 2 weeks. First game, the score had a total of, hold on a second. Let me just grab it here. I had it on my computer. 178 points. The second game, which they just played earlier in the week, had 176 points.
Okay.
Now, you know what the over-under they're giving us tonight?
156.5? Yeah.
Yeah. What am I missing here? I got 2 games that were played recently, 175 plus points both, and now I'm getting a 20-point discount. Neither game went to overtime, so it's not like there was an overtime in there. And now I'm getting, no doubt, a ticked off Seattle team for losing to the worst team by far in the WNBA in Connecticut. I mean, how is this not getting to 157 points?
I think that makes sense. What were the margins of victory in those first 2 games for Seattle? Because one of the things we did talk about earlier in the week, Scott, was this idea that close games, maybe a little bit more nip and tuck, maybe they use more of the shot clock. And if they were blowouts, but then again, I mean, you also have Seattle as an 18-point home favorite, and you're saying they're pissed off. So that leads to me to be another blowout, which I think always trends to the over. So I'm with you. That's a 20-point, kind of difference from the data points we already have when these two teams match up. So I'm with you on going with the over. 156.5 does seem light. I mean, even this Atlanta-Indiana game closed at 166.5, and you have been saying to me as you educate me on the W that you like going over in general. So this seems to be like a low total.
Yeah, I mean, first game was a 17-point win, 18-point win for Seattle. Then the Storm won last game 93-83. So one relatively close and one a blowout. And in fact, Connecticut, as the god-awful team, won earlier this week by 10. So
players
no matter what they
do. Key players out?
I don't see any story on it.
That would be the only thing I would wonder if, your leading scorers are out or something like that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem to be. I mean, from what you're telling me, it seems to be like an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, again, it kind of looks like too good to be true, right? I mean, we're not talking 1 game samples. We got 2 games to work with. And again, they weren't like 2 months ago. They were all within the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to see, this is one of those like bad lines. I'm going to bite, and if it starts off, 20, or 15-10 after 1, am I going to double down on it? Probably not. But I'm thinking blowout.
Hey, by the way, back over in Major League Baseball, and I've been keeping an eye on this because it was unfortunately not good for me in a pregame bet that I made. Seattle has now scored 4 runs against Tariq Skubal, and the Mariners are up 4-1 in the bottom of the 5th. Skubal easily one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. This would be one of his worst starts heading into the All-Star break, and they are at home. If you believe Detroit can kind of come on back, you get them plus 330 on the money line. You can get them with 2.5 runs as well. But I'm a little bit surprised that Seattle, who is not like a big-time run-scoring team either, that they have gotten to Tariq Skubal here in this one.
Yeah, it's funny, Dane. I can't tell you how many people probably bet Detroit tonight, myself included.
I did.
I mean, how can't you with Skubal, right? That's why I bet them. But I'm sure a lot of people said, man, the way Seattle lost that game last night, you throw in a no-hitter in the 8th inning, you got a 5-0 lead, and you lose the game. I mean, they're going to be so depressed and down and out. But I always tell people, these guys wouldn't be playing professional baseball or football, basketball, or whatever if they got that depressed. They get ticked off is what they do. They don't sulk and lose the next game. They get inspired, and they get so ticked off that they lost that game that it actually helps them the next game. Now, I don't know if that's playing a role tonight, but I wouldn't bet against the team because they had a heartbreaking loss the day before or 2 days before, like we hear people say all the time. So 4-1. Castillo on the hill. You want to grab the Tigers plus 2.5 runs. I don't know if I want to delve into the plus 330 on the money line, but it is only the 5th inning. I got 5 at-bats left.
I don't, because my rationale and part of the reason why Detroit had to be better than minus 200 is based on Tariq Skubal, right? And Skubal is now through 5 innings, so you got to figure as soon as he comes out of the game, that is the edge for the Tigers gone. And I mean, listen, 4 earned runs in 5 innings. He had one start on June 24th against the Athletics where he also gave up 4 runs, but outside of that, 0 runs, 10 strikeouts, 0 runs, 13 strikeouts, 2 runs and 6, 0 runs and 6, 1 run and 6, 0 runs and 7, 0 runs and 13 strikeouts. I mean, he has not pitched an egg like this in a while. So that's the surprising part. No, I would not hop on Detroit at this point because my whole, thesis for betting Detroit today was based on Tariq Skubal, and he clearly doesn't have his good stuff tonight.
Yeah, I mean, think about that, Dane, right? They were here in New York, Seattle. They played a late game, extra innings. By the time they talked to the media, got to the airport, had to fly to Detroit, which isn't super, super far, but it's not like Philadelphia or Washington or Boston. I don't know what time they got into Detroit. What 3, 4, 5 o'clock maybe in the morning? They're facing maybe the best pitcher in the American League. I mean, everything goes against them tonight, right? And they're leading 4-1 in the 5th inning.
Skubal's last 2 starts, 14 innings pitched, 0 runs, and 23 strikeouts. And Seattle's getting to him tonight.
Amazing. Cap Drawer, Pub Sports Radio joins us now.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
One that really sticks out to me the most, George, and he's having a fantastic season, is James Wood of the Washington Nationals. I mean, yes, Cal Raleigh's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He's like a candidate for MVP of the American League. But every time I look up, George, James Wood is either getting 5 hits or being walked 4 times in a game. What a season for this guy.
And he's so young. What is he, 22? So what a future this kid has ahead of him.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Cooper flag against Bronny James feels like Mike DeCourcy against Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. I mean, let's be real about this. We're talking about a generational prospect in Cooper Flag and LeBron's kid who averaged 5.5 points in his 1 year at Division I basketball. I'm not saying LeBron is a poor player, but I don't see him as an equal attraction or an equal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
You don't want a big that's camped out under the basket and clogging the lane. He provides a lot of really good defense, a lot of three-point shooting, and again, younger than Brook Lopez. It is a good match. I just don't think it moves the needle, but as we talked about to open the show, when Giannis Antetokounmpo was saying, we're not just going to sit here this year and say, oh, Dame's down, let's just take a pause year because I'd rather go try to chase a championship. So at least they're being honest and saying, we're going to make this team better.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the Grid. Scott and Dane, hour number one, full slate of Major League Baseball tonight. We got a couple of games in some weather delays, including Kansas City and the Mets, but they got that as now a 9:15 Eastern time start. So keep your fingers crossed because that was supposed to start an hour ago, well, or at least 8:15. And when they bump it, usually they'll bump it like a half hour, I've seen. When they bump it a full hour, that tells me the weather is not going to be good anytime soon. So we'll keep an eye on that. But we got a bunch of other games to put some shekels on. So with that, let us bring in our first guest of the evening, guy you hear and see all the time here on the Grid. Do appreciate that. Joins us again, Cap Farrar from Pub Sports Radio. Pub Sports Radio is his home for all his players, all the podcasts, and everything else. Cap, Scott, and Dane, how are you today, bud?
Oh, man, I'm doing good. I'm in a cabin out in Broken Bow, Oklahoma with the family, so you guys know what that means. I got to make some bets to pay for the cabin and pay for the trip.
Do you see any OKC Thunder memorabilia, or are you too deep into the woods for that stuff?
You know, Broken Bow is kind of off on its own, out in the middle of nowhere. You got the Choctaw casinos, which is nice. I did already stop by and play a little blackjack there. That was a lot of fun. But it's in the middle of nowhere, so you don't see many Oklahoma. It's all tourist out here, so you're not seeing too much Oklahoma stuff. It's very touristy.
Hey, Cab, let's get into some of the plays you have. You know, I'm intrigued by this Blue Jays-A's game because I've been looking to bet these games in Sacramento. It looks like a bandbox. It looks like a lot of runs. The books have started to move it up. I'm seeing totals of 10 and a half in these games. And then Severino's on the mound for the A's, and he has been blunt guts trash, especially in that ballpark. And I know you're attacking him tonight as well.
Yeah, so I'm taking and, you know, anytime I go up here and say I'm taking Vladimir Guerrero, it's like, oh, he's the best hitter in the game. Okay. And out of these two teams, he's the best hitter. It's not a hard thing. But the reason I'm on him, guys, is because him and Severino, if you've ever watched the two, they chirp back and forth kind of a lot. They do not like each other. They have a little bit of bad blood, so to speak. And you touched on it right off the top. Severino has been struggling. He is having a down season. The Blue Jays as a whole are having a great season. Vladimir Guerrero just got his contract, you know, and he's doing great this year. I think this is a spot where he comes out and, you know, he makes do on the bad blood that I was talking about. I think he gets after Severino here. Now, on the other side with Scherzer, he is somebody who I'm not looking to jump behind as well. He's been dealing with the blister. If you've watched Scherzer, heck, you can go back to when he was with the Mets, the Rangers. It doesn't matter. He's been a guy that's always had blister problems because of some of his pitches. And right now he's dealing with that. So, you know, you see his ERA a little inflated as well. Obviously, Scherzer hasn't had, as much of an opportunity. There's not a huge sample size, but he does still have the blister. I like the over, guys. I like the over as a total. I would stay off either side.
All right. Let me ask you about Guerrero, because I know you work with pitchers, you see pitchers, do a little scouting with pitchers, so you have some insight into this stuff. Dane and I were talking about he would be a great candidate, and I wholeheartedly agree about maybe being traded because he's been awful, Cap, in that ballpark. 0-8, ERA over 7. He's been awful basically the whole season. 2-10, ERA over 7. Well, you know, he was pretty good for the Mets last year. What is going on with him?
You know, that's one of those things, too. It's like, do you take a chance on him, Scott? That's the thing. So you talk about trading him. If you're a team that's fighting for a playoff position, or you see yourself possibly making a run, is Severino somebody you take
the Yankees, Cab?
See, there you go. Because there's somebody who will take that shot.
Right. It's crazy. So, all right. How about Philadelphia, San Diego? Good trends towards the Phillies tonight. Where are you going with this one?
Okay, so I've actually been up here with you, and I've given this out a couple times on this show. The good news is both the 2 times I gave it out, we cashed. Guys, when I bet player props, I look at it as like a stock that you're investing in. It's not something that I try and hit at the exact right time. It's something that I'm either going to bet for a few right situations in a row, or I'm not. I either go with it or I don't. Brandon Marsh has been the GOAT as far as props go for me. This guy has been making plus money bets just seem easy to cash every day that I've bet on him this season. So let's hope that trend stays alive. I've got his hits, runs, RBIs at plus 125. I also took his total bases. It's at plus 185. You can probably get a better number, so shop around. If you look at Brandon Marsh's last 10 games, he's covered the hits, runs, RBIs that I just told you guys at plus 125 in 6 of the last 10 games. In 2 of those games, all he did was pinch hit, and he covered it in 2 of those games. He got 1 at bat.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's hitting 298 in his last 10 games. He's seeing the ball well, and you're getting so much value because he's in the 9 hole. And that's something that when we're going to take these props, I either want like a leadoff hitter who I'm getting 5 at bats with, so I'm okay with a little bit of extra juice, or I want a 9 hole at plus money that's hitting the ball well. Because like I talked to you guys about last time, that 9 hole is essentially, he's your best hitter after your 5 hitter. I'd say you go 1 through 5, and then your 9 hole is your next best hitter in the lineup. So I love betting good 9 holes, whether it's, Brandon Marsh or Javi Baez, whoever it might be at the end.
Hey, Cap, how do you treat the Dodgers these days, right? Like, they lose 6 straight. They are still the best team in the National League, record and winning percentage-wise. They now have a series in San Francisco to close out the nominal first half, and you're getting plus money on them, right? So are you of the camp of, hey, they're still the Dodgers, they can't win 7 in a row, or I'm going to not touch them until maybe they get the break that they need during the Midsummer Classic? How do you treat the Dodgers here in San Fran tonight?
If it was not for the fact that I am not allowed to bet against Logan Webb, because the guy has taken my money in every shape and form possible, no matter whether I'm betting with him, against him, total up, down, doesn't matter. Logan Webb takes my money. So I'm off the game. But I do think along the lines of what you said, sooner or later, the Dodgers are going to start winning baseball games again. This lineup is too good. However, I do think you could maybe look at some futures with the Brewers, or maybe look at some futures. The Dodgers, they have too many injuries in their pitching staff. We've seen it all year long. They are in a very tough situation when it comes to their pitching staff. Their lineup is going to win games. What is their pitching staff going to do?
Yeah. And then we'll see. Eventually, when everything is said and done, hopefully the pitchers for the Dodger fan will be safe and sound and be healthy for the postseason. That's the main thing. Their lead is so big now; it's crazy, even with this 6-game losing streak. So, Cal, great job as always. Well, not if the Giants sweep them. Yeah, if that happens, then we have something to talk about second half of the season. Cap, great job, man. We appreciate it. Pub Sports Radio is his home. We'll do it again soon. Thanks. Enjoy your vacation.
Thanks, guys.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
One that really sticks out to me the most, George, and he's having a fantastic season, is James Wood of the Washington Nationals. Yes, Cal Raleigh's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He's like a candidate for MVP of the American League. But every time I look up, George, James Wood is either getting 5 hits or being walked 4 times in a game. What a season for this guy.
And he's so young. What, he 22? So what a future this kid has ahead of him.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Cooper flag against Bronny James feels like Mike DeCourcy against Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. Let's be real about this. We're talking about a generational prospect in Cooper Flag, and LeBron's kid who averaged 5.5 points in his 1 year at Division I basketball. I'm not saying LeBron is a poor player, but I don't see him as an equal attraction or an equal
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
You don't want a big that's camped out under the basket and clogging the lane. He provides a lot of really good defense, a lot of three-point shooting, and again, younger than Brook Lopez. It is a good match. I just don't think it moves the needle, but as we talked about to open the show, when Giannis Antetokounmpo was saying, we're not just going to sit here this year and say, oh, Dame's down, let's just take a pause here because I'd rather go try to chase a championship. So at least they're being honest and saying, we're going to make this team better.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Again, thanks, Cap Farrar, for joining us. PubSportsRadio.com is the home for his website and all the plays that he does. Pub Sports Radio. So, final segment, hour number one. You know what time it is. Time for our best play of the day, our Black Cloud play of the day. Back on the winning side of things last night. In fact, we actually won before we were off the air because we had Corey Seager scoring a run, which he did. So cha-ching on that one. Nice to get back into the win column. So 24 games over 500. So nice, easy win. I would keep playing his pride. That dude's been on fire. So where are we going to go tonight? We didn't use Seager. His game was getting underway a little bit too soon for the Black Cloud play, but this one's just as good. We're going to go over 5.5 team total for the Toronto Blue Jays. You know, we've been talking about it this whole first hour. I mean, Luis Severino, he's just bad. You know, it's as simple as that this year anyway. 2-10, ERA over 5 this season, including 0-8 with an ERA of 7.04 at home, which is where this game is in Sacramento. Runs have been aplenty in Sacramento for this entire week. He's given up Severino 5 runs or more in 5 of his last 7 starts, and that's generally only going 5-6 innings. So even if he does just that, and I think he's going to do even worse than that, but we still have 4 innings to just get one more run against the awful A's bullpen. So Jays have scored 6 runs or more in 7 of their last 14 games. You know, I don't know how they don't get to 6 runs tonight. I really don't. I mean, unless Severino pulls one out of his hat, but I'm going over 5.5 Toronto team total, Dave.
Yeah, I like it. Listen, we've been talking about it, like you said, all hour, right? You had it in your SGP, ways to get against Severino. We just had Cab on, who also saw the same thing, you know, specified how Vladdy Jr. has some little bit of bad blood against Severino. So I like ways to try to fade him. You put the fact that Severino has not been good together with that ballpark. And here's the other thing I'm going to say. You know, we've talked about the ballpark factor in Sacramento. I've been talking about it here and elsewhere, about in Tampa Bay as well, how they're playing in that kind of in Steinbrenner Field. I think that those factors are going to be even more exacerbated, Scott, as we hit the heat of the summer. Okay, it is going to be, you know, 100 degrees out there sometimes in Sacramento. It's going to be muggy as all get out in Tampa Bay. I think what people projected would happen with these ballpark factors are going to be at their most intense in July and August. So I think the ball's even going to fly out some more. I'm with you, Scott. I'll take the team total for Toronto over 5.5.
Yeah, it's taken a little while. You know, they started out gangbuster overs with Sacramento, and then it kind of got into a lull where we were getting some unders, and now you say the weather's warming up a little bit, and the A's, you know, aren't as good as maybe they thought they would be, or at least they were for that little stretch there, and now we're getting nothing but overs in those games. And we're seeing the numbers creep up to like 11. This is like Colorado Rocky days, you know, back in the heyday with Rocky over-unders, right? But, you know, I think the worst thing you could do is, as a bettor, say, well, I'm going to bet the under because this number's too high. You know what? If that's your reasoning, and I was telling the guys on the podcast this, if that's your reasoning for betting an under, I'm telling you, you're going to lose more times than not. That number is as high because, you know, the boys in Vegas aren't stupid. They realize it. It's high because you're going to get 7-5 games or 8-4 games, and it's going to go over the 11, as difficult as that may seem heading into games. So, yeah, I mean, it almost seems too easy tonight with this game. I must say, I mean, is there anyone that could possibly say they like the Oakland or the Sacramento A's, right? I mean, can they really do that?
Not in this one. I'm with you, but when it seems so obvious, a lot of times that's when it doesn't go your way. The Indiana Fever are up by 1 late in the third quarter, and we were talking about Cincy coming back, and they have. Herman Marquez is finally out of that game. They go to the bullpen, and Cincinnati attacks right away. They had men on second and third, nobody out. They get a ground ball to force the run in. Cincinnati still has a man on third, only one out. So they can score the go-ahead run without a base hit, and they are now minus 350 on the money line. They have tied the game at 2, still a man on third, only one out against the lowly Rockies in the bottom of the 7th.
Yeah. The only problem is we need 2 runs. Yeah, I think most people who've bet that game, unless you put them in a parlay, but we're probably laying a 1.5, for
we
most
bet
of
them
the
live
viewers.
when they were down by a run. We bet them live when they were down by a run at minus 102. So
Yeah,
I'm
I forgot about that.
my money line bet home. Come on now,
Yeah,
Scott. This is the in-game live audience. You identified the opportunity. I thought, hey, that's a great opportunity. Let me bet it. So I got them on the money line. Just like we said, there's an opportunity with the Indiana Fever. And Scott, the Fever are now up 3 with 46 seconds left to go in the third quarter.
All right, that's nice. Yeah, I get these that's why I don't like, when I'm working, which I work every single day, I try not to do like pre-game bets because it just screws up your mind. So hour number 2 coming up next here in the Grid.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
One that really sticks out to me the most, George, and he's having a fantastic season, is James Wood of the Washington Nationals. I mean, yes, Cal Raleigh's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He's like a candidate for MVP of the American League. But every time I look up, George, James Wood is either getting 5 hits or being walked 4 times in a game. What a season for this guy.
And he's so young. What, he 22? So what a future this kid has ahead of him.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Cooper flag against Bronny James feels like Mike DeCourcy against Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. I mean, let's be real about this. We're talking about a generational prospect in Cooper Flag and LeBron's kid who averaged 5.5 points in his 1 year of Division I basketball. I'm not saying LeBron is a poor player, but I don't see him as an equal attraction or an equal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
One of big that's camped out under the basket and clogging the lane. He provides a lot of really good defense, a lot of three-point shooting, and again, younger than Brook Lopez. It is a good match. I just don't think it moves the needle, but as we talked about to open the show, when Giannis Antetokounmpo was saying, we're not just going to sit here this year and say, oh, Dame's down, let's just take a pause year because I'd rather go try to chase a championship. So at least they're being honest and saying, we're going to make this team better.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the Grid. Scott and Dane, hour number 2 of our 2-hour extravaganza. A little baseball, a little WNBA. We'll preview the Wimbledon tennis tomorrow. You get the women's final tomorrow, then the men's final on Sunday. You get the perfect match center in Alcaraz. We'll break it all down. A couple quickies here, Dane. One, I just want to throw out there. Hey, we mentioned Corey Seager yesterday. Well, he's done it again. He scored another run tonight. He's now scored runs, not hits or home runs or RBIs. He's scored runs in 14 now of his last 16 games. He's a run machine. They lowered the line today to minus 120. When I looked at it, I figured it was going to be, it was minus 160 yesterday. I thought it would be at least minus 160 again today, but I guess with the Astros But it was McCullers pitching tonight. It wasn't Framber Valdez or Hunter Brown. It was minus 120. The guy's a run machine for whatever reason, and he's got one.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I like that. I like that. You know, you got to keep going with it. He's certainly been hot. And Seager, listen, I think people forget about him because he's been so injury plagued. When he is healthy, he is one of the better hitters in the game. I'm talking like MVP caliber, right? So he's been actually healthy here. So I agree with that. Ride him until she bucks you kind of thing, you know? So I like that. And Texas is up 2-1. The Detroit Tigers have closed the gap. That was a 4-1 game. It is now 4-3. So you want to keep an eye out on that. And these Indiana Fever have started to pull away a little bit. We're at the end of 3 in that one. They are up by 5. Remember, we told you about them at halftime. They were plus 3.5. Now they are laying 4.5. So you got about a 7-point middle there if you want it. But another one of these spots, Scott, the team at home that was the favorite coming back in the second half in the WNBA.
Yeah, look at that over-under, too, 176.5. That's why I don't play unders in WNBA games. I just don't. Now, they don't go over, but, man, they can score. They really can score. So it's sitting halfway decent there, 69-65 heading into the fourth. Now, it's funny. I want to see, because you're willing, I think, to hedge a little bit or middle in WNBA. Are you willing to hedge a little bit with our Cincinnati Reds bet? We got them at Pick'em, basically. They're tied 2-2. It's locked right now. They're going to be a minus 2-1 favorite. At least they were before they had locked it. We'll see when they come back. You want to put a couple shekels on Colorado since we got the other side, the other ticket. You know what? Never mind. They only got them at plus 120.
I wouldn't anyway. No. Regardless of what it was.
You will in the WNBA, but not baseball?
No. I am not backing Colorado. I'll take the home team in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I'll take the home team. I think Cincinnati's a better team. I think the Reds are 1 game over 500. So, and Colorado is just absolutely horrible, right? So I will feel good about that bet. Remember what we also talked about, or what I was also saying about Tariq Skubal? Skubal was the edge for me for Detroit. With this Colorado team, it was that Marquez was pitching well. Marquez had only given up 1 run through 6. He struck out 8, I believe. Now that we get into the Colorado bullpen, that's even more edge for me for the Cincinnati side. So, no, I'll hold on to my Cincinnati ticket and just see how it goes.
Yeah. Chase Brown, by the way, 8 to 10 strikeouts tonight. So he did well against the Yankees, was god-awful against the Red Sox, and this is his 3rd start, so he's back to being good. So maybe you're going to get that out of him and up and down. I figured he would pitch really well tonight.
Caitlin Clark drives, scores, and is fouled, stretching the Fever lead. So again, now if Clark hits the free throw, I think it becomes a 7 or 8 point gap for Indiana. So maybe the players only meeting had something to do with it, but I think it's more than just Caitlin Clark, who does hit the free throw, and now it is 72-65 Fever.
How many points does she have? Oh, only 12. All right. I thought she was going to have a little bit more than that.
5 assists, 2 boards.
Yeah. Boy, 5 of 15 shooting, though. 1 of 6 from 3. Her scoring touch has not been there this year. But she's the one that spoke out, at least publicly. So I was going to say, not a bad little hunch bet. They usually posted around 18 and a half points wise for her, so that you still have a little ways to go. But that would have been a little hunch bet just because she was the one that kind of ripped the club. So, all right. So Indiana
next possession also, I'm watching it, Scott. Next possession, she's once again driving to the hole again, whether she got fouled or knocked out of bounds. So to your point, maybe now in the 4th quarter, she may look to try to take over, right? She's got 12 already. I wouldn't be surprised if she winds up with high teens or even 20. She's got the ball in her hands, and she is driving every single time, it looks like.
Real. The give it is 15 and a half. Plus money, plus 110.
And she's at 12. I like
she's
that. That's just 2 more buckets. I like that.
Yeah.
I would take the over 15 and a half. That's just 2 more buckets for her. I've got 8.5 minutes left to go. This is a 7-point game, and she's got the ball in her hands, and she has been looking to score, at least in the last few minutes. She's got the ball in her hands, driving to the hole again. So she's looking to score here. I would not mind that 15 and a half if you could still get it. I think she may have just gotten fouled. She may be just going to the free throw line right now. So see if you could still get that. But yeah, I would like
How about 14 and a half now? Little juice, minus 132. But what are we missing here? She's going to have the ball. She's the point guard, and they're leading. That's 1-3.
1-3. Yeah, I like that.
Wow, that's some weird lines tonight.
Atlanta just called a timeout. This run for Indiana is real. They have scored again. It was not Caitlin Clark. She did assist on the play. It is now 76-67 Indiana. I mean, and if you're telling me the pop went down to the point where she can hit 1-3, she is at 12. So if they're hanging 14.5, there's still 8.5 minutes left to go. So that's either 2 buckets for her and 1 as she has been driving to the hole, or her hitting a 3. I do like that over 14.5. I liked it at 15.5. Heck, I love it at 14.5. I'll keep eyes on it for you, Scott.
Yeah, minus 125 it is. 14.5, they're low. Like, who's betting the under on Caitlin Clark? In a game in which she's going to have the basketball, the other team's going to be pressing, maybe fouling in the end. I know they don't necessarily, it's not like college where you get the cheap fouls, but I'll take it. You know what? Now. Yeah. I'll take a flyer on, I meant to mention this before, the Red Sox, when they were down 4-1, we had to go to break, and I forgot to bring it up on the other side, but they're still down 4-3, bottom 6, though, and you're still getting plus odds, plus 128 at home against Tampa Bay. Red Sox have won 7 straight. They pulled one out last night. They've been on fire. You want to give me plus odds, and they got a runner on with 4 at-bats left? I like that bet. I'll give me the Red Sox plus the 126.
Yeah, that makes sense. Listen, their offense has been hot. I think you told me the other day they scored 9 or more runs in something like 4 of their last 6 games. They also got a runner on first right now with only 1 out. Trevor Story up. So, yeah, I'm okay with them coming all the way back. The other thing to watch here is Detroit is coming on the way back too. You know, that game was 4-1. It's now 4-3. We'll see. But Cincinnati, Colorado is starting to threaten. Maybe I should have hedged a little bit, right? They got runners on first and second with 1 out as well.
All right. Now you're getting them basically 1 away on Cincinnati if you want to double down on that, which I don't want to do, but interesting. All right. Brewers off to a nice little 6-1 lead over Washington. How about the Braves and Cardinals? 5-2 already in the 3rd inning. They're giving us an over-under of 7 runs more, so 13.5. They got to get 14 runs. It appears to be one of the. You know what? If I don't do that, I would take a flyer on the Cardinals plus 2.5 runs at minus 104.
I like the plus 2.5 runs. I like the plus 2.5 runs better than the game total, Scott.
Yeah. I think they'll keep this one semi-close. This is a long ways to go. 7 more runs is a lot, but I do think the Cardinals with 2.5 runs is not a bad little play. So, all right, quick little break. We'll come back. We'll Adam Kaufman, SportsGrid Radio, SportsGrid TV host, will join us. We'll do some baseball stuff with him, maybe a little Wimbledon as well. We got baseball, we got WNBA, and we got the Wimbledon to get to. So we got a full slate here on the grid. Scott and Dane, hour number 2. Keep the dial right where it is.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high, But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
This stuff will give you agita. It'll really give you agita. Welcome back in game live, game day. Scott and Dane, along with Cincinnati and Colorado.
Colorado.
Dopey wild pitch with the bases loaded allows Colorado to take a 3-2 lead in the 8th inning. Unbelievable. The guy had 1-2 count. A 1-2 count. Just throw the ball. Throw the ball over the plate. This is the Colorado Rockies, for goodness sakes. Ugh.
I still have faith.
All right, welcome back.
I still have faith.
I got faith. I have bottom 8 they go. Let's talk a little baseball with a good buddy, Adam Kaufman, SportsGrid radio and TV host, who you see and hear all the time here on the grid. What's going on, Adam? Do you have Cincinnati tonight?
Believe it or not, guys, I got a money line bet on Colorado. I know this is gonna. It sounds crazy. Pre-game bet on Colorado. Yeah, listen, this was a bet for twofold. Why? Because one, we were getting plus 205 in Cincinnati against a team that, one, the Reds came into this game, they've won their last couple, but generally speaking, this is a struggling ball club, and the Rockies are horrendous. We know that, historically bad. We've talked about that ad nauseum here on these programs, but I don't know. Every once in a while, you're going to come up with something, and you look for the right matchups to try and do it. And Marquez is not horrendous. I mean, he's not good, but he's not horrendous. And Chase Burns on the other side is not good, or at least has not been good in a very small sample size. And so this, for me, more than anything, was a bet against Burns than it was a bet on Colorado. I would have bet against Burns with almost anybody on the other side, as evidenced by the fact that I bet on Colorado. And so plus 205 on the Rockies tonight. I wish I had played I was tempted to play both the first 5 and the full, thinking maybe they sneak by with the first 5 and then the bullpen screws it up and they give it away on the full. And there's a, potential at a marginal profit, obviously, with both being at plus money. And I decided, I'll just lean into the full in the event that Burns is actually on, even though I don't think he will be. And I wish I had done both, because the first 5 would already be home. And right now we're sweating out Colorado full game.
We are. So, our friendship is over, Adam, because I need the Reds to come on back in this one at the Great American Small Park. Let me ask you, Adam.
Isn't that the worst when you have to root against each other's wallets? No fun.
I know. It is. Like, if there was only a way that we could have a middle here somewhere, we could both win. But unfortunately, that is not the case in Cincinnati. Let me ask you, how do you treat the Dodgers these days, right? They lose 6 in a row. Right now, one school of thought would be they're the Dodgers. They're not going to lose 7 in a row, 8 in a row, 9 in a row. This is a series against the Giants where, don't look now, but if San Francisco kind of, sweeps them, objects in the rearview mirror are closer than they appear, right? You got Webb on the other side, a good pitcher for San Francisco. Do you take it like the Dodgers will find themselves back on the West Coast, or do you ride the streak and continue to bet against LA?
So it's funny, I was talking to another member of the SportsGrid family, Tom Vecchio, earlier today, and he and I will collaborate on a lot of baseball bets on a daily basis. And, he opened up our chat earlier saying, man, if we had just been betting against the Dodgers every day, we'd be retired. And it's hard not to want to continue that, especially when a team is struggling. But to me, at the end of the day, guys, and you alluded to it, Dane, they are still the Dodgers. They still have a potent lineup. They still have loads of talent. They are still fully capable, even in a situation on the road. And so the way that I looked at this game is, the way that I want to do it, and just double checking to see if any odds have changed. The way I bet it earlier was I went with a first 5 play on San Francisco, figuring that ultimately I like Webb more than I like May. And that doesn't mean the Giants bullpen can't be feasted upon potentially late in this game. The Dodgers couldn't come back to potentially win late and, escape with a, I don't know, call it a 4-3 win or something like that, and things go south on me. I'm just looking for the Giants to be up 2-1 at the end of 5 innings or whatever the number is. Just be winning. I mean, worst case scenario would be tied, and then no harm, no foul, I get my money back. But, I don't want to fully lean into betting against the Dodgers because clearly it's not going to last forever. Their water finds its level. They're going to be the Dodgers again before long. And so if there's a proper way, to me, intuitively, to attack this game, it's go with the better pitcher, who's Webb, and take the bullpen out of it and just look at the first 5.
All right. Normally, I would say, okay, you have to be betting Toronto tonight, but you also bet Colorado. So maybe you went with the complete opposite PP tonight, and you're betting Luis Severino, who's 0-8 at home, 2-10 on the season. Tell me you're not betting the A's as well as Colorado tonight against Toronto.
No, you can only tempt fate so many times. I did invest in the Toronto Blue Jays tonight, and I went Toronto full game. I thought about the first 5. The thing is, well, Severino's not good. I'm just not ready to trust Max Scherzer yet. Obviously, he's not the Scherzer of old and all of the great things that he has done on the diamond that'll, have him in the Hall one day. He is, a guy that is still trying to discover himself as a member of the Blue Jays. And so I don't know if he gets knocked around or if he has a good start. I think, this is a situation where I want the bullpens to be a part of the handicap here and just ultimately invest in the better team. And Toronto has been playing very good baseball, surprisingly good baseball as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, I'm invested in the Blue Jays full game. I think we're going to get runs. Again, this game is in Sacramento, but I like the Blue Jays to win this thing. And I would rather attack the full than the half.
Last one from me, Adam. Ranger Suarez has been very good for the Phillies lately. They are in San Diego to take on the Fathers. Is 155, 160 too much juice for you, or do you like Philly with Suarez?
Look, if I like a bet, I like a bet to a certain point. My personal threshold is minus 200. And I know some people won't go beyond minus 150. Everybody has their own rules. I won't tell you what's right, what's wrong. Whatever works for you, obviously, as long as you're green at the end of the day, week, month, year, say whatever you want. So in this case, look, I could attempt to take some juice out of it and invest in, Philadelphia run line or a first 5 run line or something like that. But I don't feel the need to get cute with it, guys. I like Philly. I like Philly a lot. It's one of my bigger bets of the day because I do not bet with a consistent unit size, probably something I should consider doing. And I'm on Philadelphia, both first 5 and for the full game. I trust Suarez, this Beggart guy, if I'm even pronouncing that right, on the other side. Complete unknown. I'm going to go with the guy with the sub-2 ERA.
All right, got a few more games. We'll talk to Adam on the other side when we come back. In-game live, Game Day continues on the grid.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
One that really sticks out to me the most, George, and he's having a fantastic season, is James Wood of the Washington Nationals. I mean, yes, Cal Raleigh's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He's like a candidate for MVP of the American League. But every time I look up, George, James Wood is either getting 5 hits or being walked 4 times in a game. What a season for this guy.
And he's so young. What is he, 22? So what a future this kid has ahead of him.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Cooper flag against Bronny James feels like Mike DeCourcy against Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. I mean, let's be real about this. We're talking about a generational prospect in Cooper Flag, and LeBron's kid who averaged 5.5 points in his 1 year of Division I basketball. I'm not saying LeBron is a poor player, but I don't see him as an equal attraction or an equal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
You don't want a big that's camped out under the basket and clogging the lane. He provides a lot of really good defense, a lot of three-point shooting, and again, younger than Brook Lopez. It is a good match. I just don't think it moves the needle, but as we talked about to open the show, when Giannis Antetokounmpo was saying, we're not just going to sit here this year and say, oh, Dame's down, let's just take a pause year because I'd rather go try to chase a championship. So at least they're being honest and saying, we're going to make this team better.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the Grid. Scott and Dane talking with our good buddy Adam Kaufman, SportsGrid Radio TV host, going over some of the baseball games. Adam, over, under. They really should offer this bet. They really should on FanDuel and the like. Over, under pitches, Paul Skeens, I'll say, 88.5. He's got 33 pitches right now. He's struck out 3. He's throwing a no-hitter, albeit through 3. But the guy, again, is on fire. He came into today with back-to-back 5 innings, no runs allowed. So he's at least working on now a 13-game scoreless streak, inning streak, rather. So what do you think? Are we going to get 7-8 innings out of this guy tonight? Or are we going to see him taken out again after 5, maybe 6, because he's thrown too many pitches for the Pittsburgh Pirates?
All right, well, look, I have no choice but to cheat. And so I've pulled up his game log here just to see what he is usually doing. And what's interesting about Skeens, it's not really distant. Much of the season he has been in the, let's call it 95 to 102 range. But then you've got these, I don't know whether to call them outlier performances or the new norm over these last 3 starts that you're basically alluding to here. In his last time out against Seattle, he went 5 shutout, but only 78 pitches. His previous game against the Cardinals, 5 shutout and only 88 pitches. The game before that, when he got kind of knocked around by the Brewers, gave up 4 runs. He threw 78. But prior to that, it was always low hundreds, high 90s with rare exceptions. So, I don't know if they're just kind of trying to slow him down a little bit before the All-Star break, knowing obviously he's going to be pitching in that game. And, you don't want to, obviously the micromanaging of pitchers these days and treating them like the investments that they are, not wanting to have that burnout and control the pitch count going forward. I don't know. I mean, I would normally say, why wouldn't we get him 95? 100 if he's lights out, but he was lights out each of those last 2 starts, not allowing a run, and still didn't hit 80 pitches. So it's a great question. I mean, the way that you framed it, what'd you say, mid 80s, high 80s? I think you'd have to take the under right now. Yeah, I think you'd have to take the under at the moment. I don't like it. I don't agree with it, but I think the trend would tell you that's the direction you need to go.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I remember when Crochet didn't go more than like 4 or 5 innings in the second half of last year. Maybe the Pirates are protecting their long-term investment, to be sure. Also, Adam, I want to ask you not about something tonight, but as we look to this weekend, which is the end of the first half, right? And teams will have their week off. Or at least their, the All-Star break, shall we say. I'm always a big believer in Wednesday day baseball, going to the under, getaway day. Everyone stays kind of under. Everyone's got a plane to catch, including the umpires. What do you think about it as we go into this last weekend of the first half? Are we going to see, starters go longer because they'll have more rest for their next start? Are we going to see some unders? Does the fact that it is the end of the first half with the All-Star break there, does that change your calculus at all on these games this weekend?
Well, I would say with respect to starting pitchers, it does a little bit, but this is kind of situational. And, we just kind of talked about it with Paul Skeens a little bit. It depends who's pitching when, right? Because we already know at this point in time, save for any last minute adjustments, so-and-so bows out and therefore someone else gets added to an AL or NL roster, we know who is on the pitching staffs for these two teams. And while not everyone will necessarily get into the game, we got a pretty good feel for who's going to for at least an inning. And, unfortunately, you'd like to think that wins are the most important thing for these teams, but some of these teams will manage their starters a little bit differently going into the break, knowing that, all right, we don't necessarily, we're not going to leave our guy out as long as we might normally if he's going every fifth day right now, if it means that now all of a sudden he's going out and he's throwing during the All-Star game, unless a team, sends out kind of that mandate that he's there ceremoniously and he's not actually going to pitch. Now, it all depends on how it lines up in the sense that, like, obviously there are certain days that pitchers will throw in between starts. If it's a throw day and a guy goes out for an inning and he's not straining himself and he's not throwing too many pitches and he's not throwing as hard as he possibly can, it's therefore just, like a side session, getting his work in, throwing a BP kind of situation, then it's not as big a deal. But I think you're forced to look at some of those things ultimately in terms of the handicap. The only other thing, and I know we got to wrap here, is dogs. I would think heavily about dogs on those getaway days just before breaks. Depends, what those odds look like and who's playing where, and maybe take some streaks into account. But generally speaking, I think we could get a good chunk of upsets on that last day before the break.
Adam, good job as always. What are you on tomorrow? I know you're on tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow night with Dubs, actually. We're on 8 to midnight Eastern.
Oh, there you go. How about that with Dubs? Good job. Adam Kaufman, great job, man. We're coming up.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
One that really sticks out to me the most, George, and he's having a fantastic season, is James Wood of the Washington Nationals. I mean, yes, Cal Raleigh's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He's like a candidate for MVP of the American League. But every time I look up, George, James Wood is either getting 5 hits or being walked 4 times in a game. What a season for this guy.
And he's so young. What, he 22? So what a future this kid has ahead of him.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Cooper flag against Bronny James feels like Mike DeCourcy against Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. I mean, let's be real about this. We're talking about a generational prospect in Cooper Flag and LeBron's kid who averaged 5.5 points in his 1 year of Division I basketball. I'm not saying LeBron is a poor player, but I don't see him as an equal attraction or an equal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Want a big that's camped out under the basket and clogging the lane. He provides a lot of really good defense, a lot of three-point shooting, and again, younger than Brook Lopez. It is a good match. I just don't think it moves the needle, but as we talked about to open the show, when Giannis Antetokounmpo was saying, we're not just going to sit here this year and say, oh, Dame's down, let's just take a pause year because I'd rather go try to chase a championship. So at least they're being honest and saying, we're going to make this team better.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Dane, hour number 2. Keeping an eye on some baseball. We got the WNBA, our Caitlin Clark over whatever number you got it at, 15.5, 14.5. Heck, I saw 12.5 there for a second. We got new life. It's not looking good, but they yanked her out of the game. Then they put her back in because Atlanta made a little bit of a run. So 11-point game. I think she's still at 12. But there's 2 minutes and change left to go, and she's most importantly in the game.
She is in the game, and my hope is that if Atlanta wants to try to extend this game, she would be the person with the ball in her hands that they would foul. Now, I think 11 points is too much for them to play that foul game, but we shall see. Also, speaking of life, Espinal leads off the bottom of the ninth for the Cincinnati Reds with a double to left center field, Scotty. So we've got life in that one as well. Man on second, nobody out here as the Reds try to come on back and at least tie this game against the lowly Rockies. But a leadoff double never hurts.
Now the question is, are you going to bunt them to third?
We talked about
Personally,
this yesterday,
I would.
We talked about this yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah,
we talked about how we want to see this in the extra innings. And by the way, what was that? The A's Braves yesterday went extra innings. The Braves did not score in the top of the 10th, and I thought the A's would do it, but they did not. So we'll see. It does not look though like we're sacrificing the runner over here. 2-1 count on Friedel. So we'll see about this.
Wow. I mean, he's a pretty good hitter. He's one of their better hitters, I will say. And he's a lefty. Pitcher is a righty right now. I get the game on, but and it's the Rockies. So, maybe if it was any other team, I'll give Cincinnati, because it's the Rockies. I don't want to take, the bat out of the guy's hands, but I would do it though. I just would. You know what? Let me tie the game. You got to tie.
You play for the tie because you're at home?
Yeah, I play for the tie regardless. But that used to be the old thing, right? Yeah, if you were on the road, you play for the win. At home, you play for the tie. I would play for the tie either way. So.
All right, well, I'll keep you posted on that one. It seems like I'm slightly ahead of you when it comes to that game in Cincinnati, so I'll let you know what's going on in that one. We are inside 2 minutes to go. Fever are up by 11. So listen, regardless of what Caitlin Clark does, we said that this was a good spot of bouncing back for Indiana, and so far that has proven to be true.
Cardinals come back, right? We told you to grab them when they were down 5-2 early, and then maybe even a little piece on the over. It's now 6-5. Bottom of the third inning. It was 5-2. Yeah, they had 7 runs they had and was only in the third inning, and now they're still only in the third inning a half hour later, and it's 6-5. And now they get the over-under 17.5. I don't know if I would do that, but we told you grab St. Louis plus the 2.5 runs when they were down 3. So there you go. 6-5. This is a long ways. In fact, they just locked it up, so we'll see what happens.
We should have bunted the runner over, Scotty. We should have bunted the runner over. He struck out, so we do not advance the runner. We do not advance the runner at all. Friedel strikes out. We still have that runner on second, but now with 1 out, so it's not like we can kind of manufacture anymore. Now we need a hit pretty much for cleanup.
I'll give you another pass on this one too, Dane. And it was a lefty batter. So now you can have the guy ground out and the runner still gets to third base. There's a lot of ways that runner could go to third without bunting him over. I mean, again, I still would have done it, but if you want to say, well, it's the Rockies and we had a lefty up, he figures he had to pull the ball to the second baseman at worst, and the runner moves over. But that's old school. It just stuff like that doesn't happen anymore, unfortunately. White Sox and Guardians, haven't talked about this one. Are you one of those, I know a lot of people are, that automatically plays the other team in a day, night, or a normal doubleheader that loses the first game?
No, not necessarily. But what I do care about is how they stack the lineups, right? Like you're going to get the backup catcher in one of those games. I also really like to see what happens with the bullpens in the first game because bullpen availability is really important. I do think there are opportunities in the second game of doubleheaders, but not in a blanket way of just kind of zigzag thinking someone won't split the doubleheader. I like to see because how they make the lineup, which day has some of the bench guys, the B team as it were, and I like to wait until that first game to see who and how much of the bullpens were used in the first one.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. That's how you really should do it because a lot of times those relievers especially aren't going to work both ends of a doubleheader.
Right.
And you see which catcher, I don't really generally, and that's why I don't like the midweek day games. I tell these guys on the podcast all the time. You're not getting the real team. Yeah, you're getting a bunch of backups, especially the catcher. If the catcher caught the night before, he's not catching a day game. So, I don't like, like I said, these pitchers get used to, pitching to the normal catcher. Not saying these other guys aren't good, but it just, it's too, throws a variable in there that I don't really like. So, Yankees 11-0 over the Cubbies, right? How many home runs did they hit tonight? They hit,
I think Belly might have 3 or something in this one.
3. He's got 3. Wow.
Belly
How
might
about
have,
that?
yeah, Belly has 3 in this game. So, I mean, there's still some time, isn't there? Is there time left
No,
for him?
it's good. No, top of the
No,
9th.
he's not going to get another at bat, but a great game out of Bellinger in this one.
3 for 5 with obviously 3 runs scored, 6 RBIs. Not a bad week, let alone one day.
No.
That now makes Dane, I think that's the 12th straight over. Yankees are like the weirdest story.
They were under for like 2 weeks straight, right?
Yeah, 15-1 under, and then that flipped, and it's been 11-0. I'll count them here. I think they're 11 or 12-0 over now. They may throw a shutout and still get over. If the Toronto first game against Toronto was 5-4, that may be a push. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This will be 12-0 over if you want to count that first Toronto game.
Streaky,
Crazy,
to be sure. Yeah, absolutely. We got another strikeout in Cincinnati. It's all up to Ellie De La Cruz, Scott. It's all up to Ellie De La Cruz. And by the way, the Fever, they're really putting the nail in the coffin. A lot of 3-pointers. They have been raining threes their last 3 possessions in a row. None of them from Caitlin Clark, who is on the bench as this game goes to 0-0.
They scored 99 points. 99-82, Indiana wins. If I told you that before the game and I gave you an over-under of 12.5, yeah, right? You'd be like, give me the over. She's got to go for at least 20. I mean, at least 15, 16, 12 stinking points. 5 of 17. We brought it up. She was 5. I remember saying she was 5 of 15 early fourth quarter. So she only took 2 shots. From that point on, she only took 2 shots in a close game. And that line dropped like a rock in the ocean, Dane. I mean, why would that drop like that? Why would she stop shooting in a close game? And more importantly, how did they know that? What would make you think that she's not going to score? And
I got to tell you,
that
and
thing
I was
just
watching
fell.
it, and she was driving to the hole, literally possession
Yeah, you
after
were saying
possession.
that.
And she really was. And then all of a sudden, as soon as we started talking about it, boom, she switched straight into facilitation mode. They have intentionally walked Ellie De La Cruz. They wanted no part of De La Cruz in that spot. And so now it is up to Hayes with men on first and second, 2 outs for the Cincinnati Reds, or else we will get Adam Kaufman's Colorado Rockies to come on all the way in home. But yeah, I thought that's a smart move. They wanted no part of De La Cruz because he can hit one out and then all of a sudden you lose the game, right? So they'll take their chances with Hayes here. We'll see what happens in this one.
I actually like that from the interim manager. I really do, because 9 times out of 10, I'll be like, no, we're not going to put the winning run on base. You can't do that. But why would you pitch to their best hitter? Go ahead. Who cares? He's not going to score if you get the next guy out. So why would you take a chance on a guy that can get a double or single or triple or whatever, where the next guy is hitting at 271 versus De La Cruz being an all-star? So I like it. Hope it doesn't work out. But I do admire, Colorado kind of going out on a limb there. So 3-2. Keep your fingers crossed on that one. So Yanks 11-0. Rockies 3-2. Mariners 5-3. They tacked on a run. Red Sox still trailing 4-3 at home against Tampa Bay. I got them originally, but I still think they have a chance to, come back and win that game. Minnesota scored 2 against Skeens. How about that? The guy was throwing in the 4th inning.
I told you I was going to take the Skeens props, but then take the Minnesota Twins, get that reverse correlation there. He's been losing decisions, even though he's been pitching well.
Ken Stewart coming up next year on the Grid.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
One that really sticks out to me the most, George, and he's having a fantastic season, is James Wood of the Washington Nationals. I mean, yes, Cal Raleigh's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He's like a candidate for MVP of the American League. But every time I look up, George, James Wood is either getting 5 hits or being walked 4 times in a game. What a season for this guy.
And he's so young. What is he, 22? So what a future this kid has ahead of him.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Cooper flag against Bronny James feels like Mike DeCourcy against Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. I mean, let's be real about this. We're talking about a generational prospect in Cooper Flag, and LeBron's kid who averaged 5.5 points in his 1 year of Division I basketball. I'm not saying LeBron is a poor player, but I don't see him as an equal attraction or an equal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
You don't want a big that's camped out under the basket and clogging the lane. He provides a lot of really good defense, a lot of three-point shooting, and again, younger than Brook Lopez. It is a good match. I just don't think it moves the needle. But as we talked about to open the show, when Giannis Antetokounmpo was saying, we're not just going to sit here this year and say, oh, Dame's down, let's just take a pause year because I'd rather go try to chase a championship. So at least they're being honest and saying, we're going to make this team better.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Dane, hour number 2. As we welcome in the man who's going to be taking over at the top of the hour, along with George Kurtz, Mr. Cam Stewart, sitting in the hot seat tonight with Gabe out getting married. So
it's hot.
Yeah, real hot. Real
I don't
hot.
know how hot it is. Baseball's hot. Golf right now. Scott, I come on your show every week, and it's always afternoon nap, and Carver's guy got her up and put him down. I'm looking at a guy that's never played links golf before, Chris Gotterup, and he's leading the Scottish Open. I'm like, what kind of world are we living in right now? This guy was like 100 and something to 1. But let me tell you, fellas, a lot of big names lurking in, I shouldn't say the weeds. It's called the heather or fescue in Scotland instead of grass, fescue. Lurking in the fescue, Rory's 4 back. Scheffler's only 6 back. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of guys. Aberg 3 back. So let's talk about this. You like Scheffler, he's 9 to 1. And then I'm thinking, you know what? Can Scotty Scheffler win the Scottish Open? Definitely. But the big event, the Open Championship next week, and I'm going to say this, Dane, I know how you guys feel, Scott, but 9 to 1 is not good enough for me, even though 5 shots back due to the strength of the field. If this was the John Deere Classic and you're giving me Scheffler at 9 to 1, I'd be right in there putting bullets in the gun there because I'd say that's a great price. But Chris Gotterup, I don't think he'll win this tournament, but what a great start for the young Americans. Jake Knapp was the first round leader and Chris Gotterup, like, what the heck's going on here? I have these guys every week, Scott, first round leaders. Now they're winning in Scotland, not in the United States. Go figure. We got great baseball tonight, though, too, guys. Blue Jays and Athletics. We'll see how long Scherzer can go there. I'm watching Dane's Yankees kick the crap out of the Cubs. We had them on the run line tonight. Unbelievable stuff. Bellinger with 3 dingers. That looks good. We'll talk to Captain Chalk, George Kurtz, on the show about that. He'll have tons of baseball picks. And the great news is we got live action tonight, a lot more games than we had last night, guys. So I'm looking at the over, even though that in the Athletics-Jays game, I don't know how long Scherzer's going to go. I think the Jays can hit, too, so I see runs in that game. I don't know how you feel, Dane. You talked about May. Strikeouts over 4.5. I kind of like that look as well with the Dodgers tonight. And we'll have some in-game live plays. Other games, the Canadian Football League, guys, for all you out there, it was supposed to start at 9 o'clock. There's wildfires in Saskatchewan right now. This game is being delayed and hopefully not postponed, but it was a 9 o'clock Eastern kick. They're talking 10 o'clock now, so I'll keep everybody informed about that one. We took a shot with the Stampeders plus 5.5 in that game. They won outright against Winnipeg as Dogs last week, guys. So, and tennis too, Dane. What else are we going to do here? We got interesting stuff. Everybody wanted Sinner. Yeah, okay. Ask away.
Well,
and they have a ladies final tomorrow too.
I didn't want to bring up Rip the Scab over that open wound with the Dimitrov what happened earlier in the week.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Sinner kind of was playing a obviously compromised Joker today, right? We saw that Djokovic obviously was banged up a little bit. What do you think in that final against Alcaraz? They had a classic in the French Open, right, in Roland Garros, where Sinner had triple match point and couldn't get it done. Sinner has also gotten kind of lucky against Dimitrov and today having to get through a compromised Joker. Who do you like in that men's final? And then can Anisimova kind of announce herself against Iga on the women's one?
That's the whole thing. First, like, to your point about the ladies first, before I get into the men's, do you guys know the American women have won the last 3 majors that nobody's even talking about? It has been like Pagula, Goff. Like it's like, I'm looking at this, and it's like nobody's even talking about this thing. So now you look at the name; it sounds Russian, but she's from the United States, and what a performance against Sabalenka. Then you're talking about Swiatek, who arguably was one of the best women in the world, a little older now, but very, very good on grass. She's not compromised because the grass is fast in comparison to the clay. I like Swiatek in that match, Dane, but I don't like the price. As for the guys, we took it, Fritz, today. We covered 5.5 games. He lost by 5, so it was unbelievable. So the parlay hit. We had that pick last night on Sports Rage, but I'm going to tell you, I like Sinner in this match. I think that little lucky win against Dimitrov really helped him. Alcaraz is money, but, I really think Sinner is going to win this. I think it's going to go 5 sets. I would take games over. And I don't know how you feel, Dane, but these guys are going to absolutely kill each other. I expect another epic final between them. But yeah. I'm going to lean with the lanky Italian. The redhead, you don't see many redheads from Italy except for in the North Country, closer to the other countries there. But Sinner's a long, lean drink of water. And this guy, I'll tell you, Alcaraz, he looks fantastic. What a great final it's going to be. Can you believe, though, two guys? The men always have the favorites. And look at the women. It's an 8 versus a 13. This is the best thing I've learned about this. It's kind of like women's golf, too. A lot of the time you find these underdogs and people that aren't really on the top of the betting board. Men's tennis is very predictable. Don't you guys find it's usually Alcaraz and Sinner? Maybe once in a while you'll get Medvedev or somebody in there, but it's the same thing. It's very, very chalk heavy. But in the women's game, I find a lot of underdogs can really cash tickets.
All right, I want to look up their previous matchups. I know Alcaraz has beaten Sinner a number of times in a row. I think it's 5 times in a row. But how is this? I know I said this. The graphic. Yeah, 8-4 in 5 in a row. So how is this not getting to 42 games though, Cam? Which is that's what I'm saying, Scott. Like it's like I love it. I think it's definitely going to get to 42 games. I think it's going to get to 5 sets, 42 games. I think a lot of them are going to go to tiebreakers. I think that is probably the best bet on the board. I know Alcaraz has won historically recently against him, but I think this game could go either way, and I'm going to take a shot with Sinner. I just think it's his tournament. He's got that path. Alcaraz has played more tennis. Sinner's been very lucky, too, with guys retiring and things like that. So we'll see what happens. I think it's just his tournament to lose, but Alcaraz is an absolute beast. But it's going to be good tennis. Swiatek on the ladies' side. But despite Dane, I am cheering for the American girl. She's been fantastic. You knock out a top seed, you deserve it. But Swiatek's kind of like thinking, this could be my last rodeo. She's getting older and stuff with a lot of younger women players, nipping at the heels. So when you get a chance to win another major under your belt, I think she's going to show up and play her best tennis.
Remember, Sinner also had triple match point against Alcaraz last time in the French Open and couldn't close it out, right? So I don't know if, the 2 best players in the world, I don't know if they need extra motivation, but maybe there's something to that. Also, Sinner knows he can't, that maybe he's got to try to get one back against them because he pretty much had him last time around at Roland Garros.
It's true, Dane, and I think this is his time right now, and I think he's just really motivated. I don't let the injury. I know Djokovic talked about falling down and stuff today. It didn't matter what he did. Like it's just age is catching up, and these younger guys are just too damn good right now. I like Sinner against Alcaraz. I think he gets it done in 5 sets.
All right, Cam and George Kurtz at the top of the hour. They'll take you over the next 2 right here on SportsGrid Radio as well as SportsGrid TV on both. So, Cam, good job. You got Dodgers, you got A's, you got the Mets just underway. You got a lot of baseball to keep an eye on. CML, keep the dollar.
Kurtz loves baseball. Baseball betting galore tonight.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Lost Pages. Let's get lucky.
One that really sticks out to me the most, George, and he's having a fantastic season, is James Wood of the Washington Nationals. I mean, yes, Cal Raleigh's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He's like a candidate for MVP of the American League. But every time I look up, George, James Wood is either getting 5 hits or being walked 4 times in a game. What a season for this guy.
And he's so young. What, he 22? So what a future this kid has ahead of him.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Cooper flag against Bronny James feels like Mike DeCourcy against Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. I mean, let's be real about this. We're talking about a generational prospect in Cooper Flag, and LeBron's kid who averaged 5.5 points in his 1 year of Division I basketball. I'm not saying LeBron is a poor player, but I don't see him as an equal attraction or an equal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
You don't want a big that's camped out under the basket and clogging the lane. He provides a lot of really good defense, a lot of three-point shooting, and again, younger than Brook Lopez. It is a good match. I just don't think it moves the needle, but as we talked about to open the show, when Giannis Antetokounmpo was saying, we're not just going to sit here this year and say, oh, Dame's down, let's just take a pause year because I'd rather go try to chase a championship. So at least they're being honest and saying, we're going to make this team better.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day on the grid right here. Closing up shop for another fabulous week. So we got about the 4 or 5 minutes so to throw a few more plays out there, including the Dodger game. Will the Dodgers lose 7 in a row for the first time? And I don't know how long. I know it's 6 in a row since 2019, but I didn't look back for 7 in a row. Taking on San Francisco, Logan Webb. Where are we going to go with this one, Dane?
Yeah, I mean, Logan Webb is on the hill for the Giants, but I'm looking at the other pitcher. It's Dustin May toeing the slab for the Dodgers, and I actually like the over in his strikeout prop. The number is 4.5. I've gone back and looked. He's got 84 strikeouts and 88 innings pitched so far this year, so pretty much a strikeout an inning. And here's the deal. In 10 starts, he has gotten 5 or more strikeouts in 7 of them. Okay, so 7 out of 10. The only of the 3 times that he did not get 5 strikeouts, he went only 4 innings in one of those starts, and then he went 5 innings in one of those starts. So to me, if he goes 5+ innings at around the strikeout per, he should get to 5. San Francisco strikes out 22.7% of the time. That is pretty much right at the top of the kind of mid-tier. They are tied for 10th in Major League Baseball in terms of striking out the most. So it's not like they're a heavy contact team. For me, in my opinion, all I need is Dustin May to go 5+, because if he does that, he has pretty much gotten to at least 5 strikeouts. He has done that 7 of his 8 starts where he gets to at least 5. I think he does. And I kind of think the Dodgers get back off the schneid. Like, they were playing teams like the White Sox, for goodness sakes, right? I think they get back on the West Coast. This is a division matchup that they need because they know San Francisco is right behind them in the division. I actually think the Dodgers get right here at plus money. I would take them tonight, and I would take May over the 4.5 Ks.
All right, I'll give you, how about Logan Webb, that same game? Logan Webb, strikeout total on FanDuel, 5.5, minus 144, little pricey, but he's had 6 strikeouts or more in 7 of his last 8 games, 14-5 on the season. And now he's facing a struggling, Dodger team. Forget about just losing. They're not scoring any runs. His out total is 18.5. That's not that bad. 11-8 to the over on that number. I'd stay away from that. But as much as you like May, I like Webb, his strikeout total, especially at home where he pitches so much better. I mean, he's good overall. Don't get me wrong, but at home he's even better than the normal. So, and the way the Dodgers are scuffling, you're right. They're due to break out of this thing. I get that, but man, 7-1 to the over, 5.5 his last 8. I'm going to go there. So
I like the strikeouts. I like the strikeouts. Webb has been good, but I got to ask you something, Webb. When you say the Webb, the outs, you said 18.5. Is that how they hang the outs with a half? Because, you go an inning, then a third of an inning, 2/3 of an inning. Is that the way they do it so that you can't push?
Yep. Okay. So they can't push. Everything's a half. Yeah. And that's why it makes a big difference because, you're generally going, 5 or 6 innings. You'd be surprised how rare you get pulled in the middle of an inning. It happens, but it's generally 5 or 6. So they got to pick a number that they won't give you 15 or 18, for the 5 innings or 6 innings.
Right.
And, sometimes they'll give you 18 and a half. Sometimes they'll give you the 17 and a half, which means not, the full
So
6
you got to go
innings.
the full 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
and keep
interesting.
track of this stuff.
I do believe
they do go back and forth on that too. They definitely change those numbers.
I hear you. I do think the Dodgers break out a little bit tonight, but I think the best play out of all these late night games is what you had as your black cloud, right? The Toronto Blue Jays are going to score runs that you combine the ballpark and you combine what Severino has done in that ballpark. And I think Toronto will get some runs. I like your black cloud over 5.5 runs for the Blue Jays, for those of you who did not hear it an hour ago.
Yep. Got a second WNBA game starting here. I'm going to go with Connecticut plus 18 and the over 156.5. They just beat them a couple of days ago. I know revenge on Seattle's mind. I get that, but they played twice. They were both high-scoring games. All Connecticut has to do is score 69 points, and you guarantee yourself a split, because in order for Seattle to cover the 18, the game would have to go over. And Connecticut scored, well over 69 points in the 2 games. So I know it's got sucker that line, but Connecticut and the over with a little bit more on the over. You are going to do something tonight that, I don't even know if I would do, and that is bet on women's boxing. Are you not?
I absolutely am, and I'm going for a knockout. Amanda Serrano to win by knockout at about 5-1. Got to keep the action going. We lost with a couple of plays here on IGL, so we got to make it back. But maybe I'm chasing the dragon. We'll see, Scotty.
Have you seen either one of these 2 women fight? I haven't.
I saw their first match. I did see their first match. It was a split decision. Yes.
All right, good for you. All right, women tomorrow. You got the finals in Wimbledon. Which side you going with?
I think Anisimovan's got a shot here. I think this could be really the time where she cracks into that upper echelon and, announces herself.
All right, I'm going to go with Iga on the other side. I'm going to lay the juice. Cam and George coming up next. Good job, Dave.